right in the studio with the beautiful Sharon Enemchukwu. Good afternoon, Sharon.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
All right. Now, let's move over to the stories making headlines across Nigeria today. Now, a country grappling with security failures, institutional breakdown, and the rest. Now, for the first story, a viral video is circulating online showing a man dressed as former President Muhammadu Buhari crying out before a billboard of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The impersonator is seen saying he left Nigeria in good hands and is now pleading with Tinubu to fix the nation. While the clip has sparked laughter and political debate on social media, critics say it reflects a much deeper frustration among Nigerians struggling with hardship, inflation, and insecurity. Now, behind the memes are real citizens demanding answers, not drama. I would actually want us to take a look at that video, and when we come back, we'll dissect the particular video. Let's take a look at the video.
Fix Nigeria! Fix Nigeria! I like to answer for you. Fix Nigeria! 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 I like to answer for you. Fix Nigeria!
Sharon, you know, this particular video garnered a lot of tractions on social media. A lot of people were saying that it's quite, if you look at it, it's quite laughable. But like, I just wanted to know your first reaction when you saw this video. Like, the very first time you set your eyes on this video, what was your, on the spot reaction?
The creativity of Nigerians is interesting to see. The fact that at any given time or for every opportunity, no matter how bad it is, they can find something light out of it. So that was what stood out for me. And also the fact that Nigerians are always finding means of expression if they feel that their voices are not being heard, or the government or whoever is trying to rain on their parade or to shut down their voices from being heard. Now, this is what you see.
Okay, for me, I think I have a rather different reaction. When I saw this, I was like, is this not Buhari? Is he back from the grave? Is this a second or third Jubril? That was my first, reaction, until I noticed that it wasn't actually the real Buhari. It was actually,
it can't be the real Buhari.
Yeah, it can't be, but he looked exactly like him, and he wore his regalia. He was looking exactly like him. And but the deeper issue here is the fact that Nigerians have already taken it to themselves to, in as much as we know that a lot is going on in the country, we are now moving over from, creativity to satire, just to see if we can garner reaction from the government. Now, I just want to ask, why are Nigerians turning to satire and mockery instead of former political channels to express their frustrations?
I think Nigerians are already doing that. They're trying to express themselves with the right channels. We saw that happen in 2023. And if we're being honest, we've been seeing that as well. It's just that when you keep talking and it seems that nobody is hearing your voice, or it seems as though their voices don't matter. Yeah. So there's a saying in our local parlance: if you don't laugh about it, you cry, right? So instead of crying, you just laugh about it. And that's something Nigerians have been known for. It's the fact that they have tried, and you have to give it to Nigerians. From NSAS to 2023, the type of voter registration has never been recorded in Nigeria. It was record breaking, and to still come out in this day and age, especially when you go on X as well, you see people that will come down to critically express themselves about the politics of Nigeria or the present government. What do they get? They get the, what do they call it, the social media code of conduct in 2024. just ways to make sure that the way you express yourselves or the way you talk about this government is limited. And I just don't think free and fair speech can thrive in such environments. So this is what they have resulted to.
Yeah, this is what they have actually resulted to. Now, I remember one time Nigerians were actually protesting on the streets seeking for better governance and the rest of it, and it was as though the government were not really paying attention to them. And it was more like they said, since we are serious about, clamoring for better governance, and we couldn't see better governance, why don't we see if we can move it into something more theatrical? Let's see if the government might actually react to how Nigerians are feeling at this point in time. And I just wanted to ask, does this particular video right now reflect a national loss of faith in the current government?
Even before this particular video, I believe when you pay attention, you don't even need to pay close attention. When you come down to Nigeria, or you have a Nigerian as a friend or a relative, and you just feel the atmosphere in the country, and you just feel the pulse of Nigerians, especially when you talk to them about voting, elections, 2027, when you speak to young people, there is just a whole lot of lack of enthusiasm when it concerns the betterment of this future, of the future of Nigerians. So even before this particular video, when you go to the market, when you pay attention to what your bus driver is saying with the market women, you can already hear that disappointment in their voices. So I just think that this particular video is only a tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, definitely. But let's move over to the next story. Now, NAPTIP has rescued 26 children and arrested 4 orphanage operators in Benue State for allegedly selling trafficked children for 1 million to 3 million naira each. Authorities believe the syndicate may have sold over 300 children under the guise of adoption. Now, shockingly, one of the suspects is a senior member of a national child advocacy organization. Now, this case exposes a disturbing criminal network exploiting the nation's most vulnerable, while public institutions look the other way. Now, Sharon, when I saw this video, my heart bled into pieces. Like, it shattered into complete pieces. And what I was seeing was, have we resulted to a point whereby, children are now more like seen as unction materials? Just like when you go to market, they'll tell you, oh, I have this, you price, how much is this particular goods, and they'll tell you is 1 million naira, and you'll be like, okay, I will buy this. And we are seeing this on social media, that even people that we are seeing that are people that are supposed to be protecting these children, because why are they in the orphanage home in the first place? It's because the parents couldn't, number one, cater for them, and not just catering for them. Some of them have even lost their parents, and their last hope is more like that orphanage home. And it's looking like at this point in time that orphanage home is no longer providing that safe space for them to live in. But let me get your opinion.
All right, I just think that generally this is one of those things that you look at and it does not make any sense at all, especially in the type of nation we're supposedly living in, 2025 to 21st century. This is not, when you hear things like this, I mean, after all these years, we're still having conversations like this. And it's not surprising, to be honest. It's just, what is most surprising to me is the fact that these are issues that have been existing for years, as it is as old as man, right? Now, what are the new ways that the government has introduced to try and fight this, to try and prevent this from happening, or to try and make sure that these issues are trashed as early as possible? And I can't see, when you look out for these tools, or you look out for these new strategies and new ways to do these things, you can't see anything. And you can't keep complaining about one issue, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So especially for issues like this, when it concerns trafficking, we need to look at NAS, right? What bills are they putting into place? Apart from bills and laws, how are they implementing this? Is it that the that we are not able as a nation anymore to implement laws that will actually save and benefit our Nigerian citizens? Or is it not a problem of implementation, maybe of value? Have they not prioritized the lives of Nigerians enough for them to quicken their actions when it concerns the life and safety of Nigerians and its children? And I just think this is the question that we should be asking.
Exactly. Well, all right. When I saw this, I asked myself, like, why is NAPTIP in the first place rejoicing over rescuing 26 children out of 300 that have been reportedly sold? And I'm asking this question: how did a registered orphanage sell over 300 children without detection for years?
I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that happened. It just doesn't make sense, to be honest. It doesn't make sense at the end of the day. I feel like they should be here as answering those questions themselves.
Exactly. I think they need to, answer a lot of questions, because being put or placed, these children being placed in your care in the first place is because of the fact that you're more like their last hope. And it's looking like that last hope of these children is no longer safe for them to dwell in, and it mirrors down to how the system and Nigeria's government have failed its citizens, and not just massive failure in on its citizens, but equally the children that are supposed to be serving as the leaders of tomorrow. Selling about 300 children, it poses a lot of threat to the country. But let's take a look at the third story, which is more dark revelations. Now, an NGO founder in Enugu is accusing a hospital of failing to account for 3 children who disappeared after their mother died during surgery. Now, the children were last seen inside the hospital facility. Since the mother's death, the family says no one has provided answers. It is raising fears of a growing black market for children, now allegedly operating inside medical institutions trusted to save lives. I would actually want us to take a look at that video, and when we come back, we'll dissect that particular issue, because this, apart from the first video that we watched, or the picture of the NAPTIP rescuing 26 children out of 300 that were sold, this is another story that we need to tie together. Is the growing insecurity, and is the growing, the fact that children are vulnerable and can no longer rely on these institutions for their safety. But let's take a look at the video first.
Nigerians, please let me tag this video to the necessary parties that can help us investigate this matter. Some medical team in UNTH Enugu decide to give out 3 children to an unknown parties after their mother gave up, and her body was still in the mortuary, but her children have been. Hi everyone, this is Mrs. Chinyere Jennifer James. If you can recognize this face, please link us to her family members. This woman undergo an operation in UNTH, left behind 3 kids. One of them was being given to a pastor, and the 3 kids were left in the hospital because the mom didn't introduce them to their dad. They didn't have any mutual relationship with any of the family members, so they were being left in the hospital. So a good Samaritan reached out to me that if I could help, because these children were just stranded in the hospital. Immediately I rushed to Enugu UNTH. This was when I met the doctor.
The woman was with her 2 children alone. We've been coming. Where is the relative? They said they're the only ones. So when I asked the kid, what of your father? They said that their father is not around. Does you have any aunt? They said that the person is coming in November. Am I going to carry and go and keep in mind? Of course not. So,
sir, I know that you're not going to carry them to go and keep in your room.
Alright?
In a normal thing like that, they can get their human rights here, human rights section here. You can't release those kids to an unknown person. After argument with this doctor, we were asked to send 20K to the lady that left with those children so she can return them back. Our intention was to hand over them to human rights and see how we can get across to her family.
we could see a video of a doctor explaining the incident or what exactly happened. So the woman in the picture that we saw, apart from the woman in the picture right here, lost her life while undergoing a surgery, and she came to the hospital with her children, her 3 children, and she lost her life during the surgery. And the doctor there gave out the children to unknown, men, or parents, or whatever they call themselves. And this particular lady is coming out to create awareness, to tell people this is exactly what is going on. And it goes a long way to expose a lot of things. I've never seen something of this nature before. I have seen a situation whereby you go to hospitals and somebody dies, they rip up the person's organs and sell it off. This is some of the businesses that doctors do in hospitals. But I've never seen a situation whereby a woman dies, and because of the fact that she came to the hospital with her children, you now unction or give out the children like they mean nothing. And I just want to ask, do you think that this is an isolated case or part of a wider trafficking network infiltrating hospitals?
I think the latter, because this does not look like something that he just thought of and executed. You can't tell me that I'm coming to the hospital with my kids, and unfortunately, because I'm no more, you are handing out my kids to people, unknown people. Number one, it just says a whole lot. This is well calculated. This doctor has probably looked at this woman and seen the standard of living. He probably thought there would be nobody to ask any question. She does not look like she has the money. Nobody is going to poke nose. They look hungry, beggarly, and that was why maybe she fit into the category of people that they can play with and get away with, in according to them. Now, this has happened, and it just says a whole lot, right? You come to the hospital, there are certain forms and documents that you feel you're supposed to have a file. So if you're saying that the woman came with her children, there should be a next of kin, and the next of kin can not be the children that I'm sure are not up to 18. They are still underage, they are still minors, that she wrote or she signed as her next of kin, right? You did not contact anybody and you sold off. It does not make sense. When you try to go back and backtrack, okay, is it because they could? It just does not make sense. It doesn't add up. I think this is all part of a bigger plan. And if there's more investigation, you would see that this is not the first time this doctor has done something like this. And that hospital, they should look into that hospital as well, because maybe there have been other cases, but because these people don't know where to make their complaints, there are nobody there is going to listen to their cries. It just gets swept under the carpet. I just don't think this is the first time trafficking situation.
Exactly. These stories that we see on social media, I always try as much as possible to highlight the fact that these are little compared to what is actually going on. We see little on social media, we talk on it, but there are a lot of, situations going down under the knife, and this we're at least seeing a tip of it. And if you ask me, I feel like this particular hospital should actually be locked down, and there should be a proper investigation. These are the things that we seek from our governance. These are the things we seek from our government. These children cannot be allowed to just go out in the streets and no one to fend for them. I don't even want to talk about a lot of children that are out of school. We saw the other day in the media that the government are trying to bring back children from, I think they were offering about 130,000 to parents to take their children back to school, which I feel like is actually a good initiative. But at the same time, I feel like there are still a lot of children out there, especially in orphanage homes, that are left in the hands of people that we feel that are supposed to be helping them or securing them, and at the end of the day, they are actually more like predators to them. But let's take a look at the last video, or last story for the day, which is a viral video from Edo State. It shows a motorist physically attacking federal road safety officials during a traffic stop. Now, a witness claims the confrontation began when the driver refused to pay a bribe. Now, FRSC says an investigation is underway, but the public reaction points into a larger issue. When uniformed officials engage in routine extortion, respect for authority collapses and citizens begin to fight back on the roadside. And when I saw this video initially, the first thing that came to my mind is, in as much as we try as so much to be civil, but at this point in time, I think these security operatives have actually lost their hold or their grip on citizens. They've lost their respect, and that is when we are seeing, when you want to intimidate them or extort them, people are now reacting directly. They are not even waiting to go to the appropriate authorities to report. They are now on the spot fighting back for themselves. And what do you think about it? Let me just get your take.
All right. So I just think that especially for this video, I don't think that this was directed at just the FIRS officers. I think this is pent-up anger, and I do not encourage, that display of violence, because when you watch that video, they really did deal with those officers. Yeah. They dealt with them seriously. And I think in the minds of these people, they're remembering the number of people that maybe the police have brutalized or molested and treated wrongly and extorted money from countlessly, right? So I just don't think that this is really targeted at that particular event. I think this is what happens when people don't treat issues early on. You just let it slide, hoping that it's going to solve itself, whereas it won't. Now, this is a perfect example of that. And if I'm to, shed more light or give my own opinion, if I'm allowed to do that, I think generally speaking, when you keep encouraging lack of rule of law, where there's no rule of law, there's no order, this is what you get. It starts from the uniform. How do you treat people? It just shows that I think at this point, generally, Nigerians would agree that they've lost respect for men in uniform, and that is reflected in their uniform, in the way they attend to them or they approach them. So when a uniform person, whether he's good or bad, you don't know, but when he approaches you, you just put up a defense immediately. Exactly. So I just think that this is what happens when you continually allow things slide without settling it as soon as possible.
Well said. I read the comment section on this particular story, and you could see the internet was actually awash. A lot of people were commenting, saying that this is quite apt. Give them a dose of their own medicine. I mean, they can't continue intimidating people, extorting people, and be going scot-free. I think that it's time for Nigerians to start reacting or facing them with their own, I
just have a different opinion. I don't encourage lawlessness. It's not like I don't encourage people fighting, right? So if you are saying Nigerians should fight back, it is going to look like a jungle. So because I just believe when you do something and you reciprocate based off of the reaction that is expected of you, you are encouraging that cycle. So it becomes a cycle. There's a saying, hurt people hurt other people. It is only love, I'm just saying now, that can break certain or any cycle at all. So I'm just saying, moving forward, a situation where Nigerians start fighting police or armed men on the road, they're going to lead to more bodies on the road, because now these men are armed, and or maybe Nigerians want to now arm themselves. And when you have Nigerians arming themselves, you have armed men with their arms. I just think it is going to give us what we do not want.
Exactly. Now I was just citing what the
you have the right to have your own opinion.
Exactly. It's not actually my opinion. Okay. It was actually the comment section. That was what I was citing. But at the same time, we can't continue encouraging, crimes and, chaotic situations. There are more ways to approach things or to settle disputes rather than going face to face. Now, from political theatrics to trafficking of children, to missing minors inside hospitals, to violence on our highways, one thing is clear: Nigerians are crying out for leadership that protects its people and restores trust in public institutions. And that is where we are going to call it a wrap for today. Today's story is on Acide Hot. Thank you so much, Sharon, for doing this with me every single time on Acide Hot, Active Citizens Parliament, and the Morning Pulse. I appreciate you. And to our technical crew, thank you so much for keeping it locked down. We see you, we appreciate you. And to our viewers, our VVIP, thank you so much for always tuning in. Thank you so much for always engaging. Totally wrong. Please kindly find us across all social media platforms at Active Citizens. You can find me on my private page on Facebook at Oji Sophia and on Instagram at Miselex. Sharon, you?
You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Sharon Edem Chuku.
Till we see you in the evening for Active.